I went from drying up my supply within a month of exclusive pumping with my first child to now being able to fully feed my second baby breast milk and building up a freezer stash. It's safe to say that I have come a long way. After all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into learning everything I know, today I'm sharing all of that in this video with you unreserved. Hi, my name is Tian and welcome to this channel. If you like content related to motherhood, please be sure to subscribe. Honestly, breast pumping is one of those things that leave moms so confused. So many of us think that we have low supply when really we just have low output through pumping, and those two are completely different matters. So buckle up because we are going to cover a lot of grounds today. Everything from basics like how to find the right flange size, which, spoiler, is not the one that comes with your pump, to elastic nipples, how to maintain a pump, troubleshooting, as well as extra resources. So without further ado, let's get to business. There are 5 main types of breast pumps on the market. I have used all these 5 types of breast pumps along the way, but I'm not going to dive into reviews because what I want to focus on is what pump you have is less important than how you use it. If you want pump reviews, I will gladly forward you to the experts. The reason I lay out all these types of breast pump is so that you know there are tons of options out there and you can find the one that works for you. Let's actually talk about how to use the pump. The most important thing is figuring out your flange size. Most people are probably not using the right flange size. Our nipple sizes are not that uniform. We're not all 28, 24, 21, or 19 milliliters. We actually are very diverse. I have a 19 milliliter and a 17 milliliter, and they changed over time. What you want to do is to get some nipple rulers. They are very easy to obtain. I have links them below. You just want to be able to measure out your size correctly, and it could be different on both sides. So measure both sides and measure them over the course of breastfeeding or pumping because it can fluctuate a lot. If you lose weight, if you gain weight, if you ultra hydrate, if you under hydrate, they all change your flange sizes. And after you figure out what your sizing is, what you need is flange inserts. They're nothing complicated. You just take whatever flange you have and you put it in there. Usually they're built for 24 milliliter size flange. They give you a snug fit. That way you extract a lot more milk in a much shorter period of time. If you ever have pain or low output during pumping, it's a pretty good indicator that you may be using the wrong flange size. Every few weeks or so, I recommend that you remeasure and make sure that you're using the right size still. Now let's talk about the material of the flanges. Most people are perfectly fine with plastic flanges, and if you are, stick to them. But some of us need silicones. Now, who needs silicone flanges? People with elastic nipples. So what are elastic nipples? Nipples with high elasticity will basically swell up during the course of pumping, and it's going to travel all the way down to the end of a tunnel, which then causes rubbing and eventually a lot of pain and perhaps even injuries, which had happened to me. And the solution to pumping with elastic nipples is silicone flanges plus inserts and some lubrication. For lubrication, you just want to use a food grade oil, which I use extra virgin olive oil spray. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money on overpriced pumping spray. Most of the time, olive oil comes highly recommended from moms with elastic nipples. Some have success with coconut oil, but it's a hit or miss. What you want to do is to spray a little bit of olive oil onto your fingers or directly onto the flange, the inside of the flange, and then you kind of rub it across evenly where the tunnel and the flange meets, because that's where your nipple is going to be traveling in and out. Because that's where your nipple is going to be moving and you want to prevent any kind of rubbing. Lubrication is not to be taken lightly because it not only gives you comfort, but it prevents injuries, which had happened to me because I forgot to bring my olive oil when I was out and about and I just decided to pump anyway with my flange, and it did not turn out very well. Some common flange solutions you want to look into for elastic nipples are Idaho Jones, Pumpable Liquid Shield, Pumping Pal, and Lactec. With Idaho Jones, don't worry about the 3-star reviews you see on Amazon because if you don't have elastic nipples or you don't use lubrication, these will hurt. And I'm assuming a lot of people probably didn't know that before they bought these. If you're gonna use Pumpable's Liquid Shield, I recommend that you use their fitting room. Let me rephrase. Please use their fitting room service because these are not built the same way as other flanges. The soft silicone part actually collapses onto your nipple and then it kind of extracts the milk, mimicking the baby's mouth. So you may not be buying your flange size. Their fitting room specialist is actually going to ask you to send in videos to show them how your nipple behaves in a normal flange, and then they're going to give recommendations accordingly. Don't just wing it and buy whatever flange size you currently are measuring. For example, I am a 19 and a 17, but I actually need to use 15 milliliter flanges. And that is as far as my recommendation can go with silicone flanges because it's often a hit or miss. Like you just have to try out a few things and see what works for you. Bear in mind that there is absolutely nothing wrong with elastic nipples. In fact, in a nursing setting, it actually is extremely beneficial because what happens with the nipples in a baby's mouth is that if it swells up, it actually achieves a deeper latch, which maximizes extraction of milk with the most amount of comfort. It's actually somewhat of an advantage in breastfeeding, especially in the early days. And pumping obviously is not the same as when the baby latches, and we just need to work around it a little bit. Letdowns. Let's talk about letdowns. The formal name is milk ejection reflex. Some women feel it coming, some women don't. Whether you feel it or not, it's all normal. It's basically when a huge gush of milk comes out in a short amount of time after some stimulation. So on a breast pump, there usually is a mode for massage, and then there's another mode on the pump that is called usually expression. It just mimics the baby's longer sucks to get the most milk out during a letdown. What you want to do during pumping is to use the massage mode to get a letdown, then you use the express mode to get the most milk out during a letdown, and then we're not done there. Then we can use the massage mode again to get another letdown and another letdown for as many letdowns as you need. It varies person to person. For me, it takes about 3 letdowns to feel fully emptied over the course of maybe somewhere around 25 to 35 minutes. A way to ensure that you increase the milk flow is to also use heat. It'll likely shorten your pumping time. When you apply heat on your breast, either through these pads or just a quick shower, what it does is that it increases the milk flow so that when you're pumping, the milk comes out faster and you empty quicker. A common misconception is that the stronger the pump, the better. That is not true. It's worth playing around different settings on your pump to figure out what actually gives you the most amount of output. When I first found out I had elastic nipples, I reduced the strength of my pump in order to just achieve pain-free pumping, and it actually gave me more milk. Here's the thing about pain. Pain inhibits letdown. Letdown means more milk. Less pain, more letdown, more milk. With my second pregnancy, I used insurance to get Baby Buddha because I wanted a portable option, and Baby Buddha is known for its strength. Its lowest setting is at least a medium on my other pumps. When I bought it, I thought, well, the stronger the better, right? The stronger the more milk. No, it's not. I could only get at most 70% of my usual output with that pump. And no matter what parts I use with it, even the most comfortable pump parts, I still can't get more milk out because I'm in pain, and pain inhibits letdown, and no letdown, no milk. So if this is your first time getting a pump, get something that gives you kind of a wide range of suction. You can always go higher, but you can't go lower. And also, hospital grade is not a regulated term. Don't just go for whatever calls itself hospital grade pump. Now, hospital pumps are different things. For example, Medela Symphony, that pump motor is actually really extremely durable. It's about its longevity. It's not about its strength of suction. Circling back, what I'm trying to say is just that stronger pump is not always the better pump. As I was saying, I got Baby Buddha for its portability because for me, being able to move around when I pump is so important. I hate being strapped to a chair. If it remotely resembles you, definitely consider a wearable or portable pump. Wearable is when the whole pump can be put into a bra, but portable just means that the pump motor is able to function without being plugged to a wall. With my first baby, my mental health struggled immensely when I found myself overnight needing to jump into exclusive pumping from exclusive nursing. The 2 rules I live by when exclusive pumping or pumping in general general. Firstly, I'm going to be moving around when I pump, and secondly, I will never pump more times than my mental health can handle. I really had learned to take on a more balanced view on my feeding philosophy because I realized that I am worth so much more to my children than just the breast milk I can provide. Like, they need a happy mom more than they need just the nutritional side of their overall health. So check out this day in a live video about exclusive pumping if you're ever considering exclusive pumping, how to come up with a game plan and a sustainable mental health aspect of it. Give that video a watch because I'm sure it's going to help you. Circling back to the point on portability, don't write off wearable pumps too soon. I know that a lot of lactation consultants like to recommend against using of wearable pumps because they think it doesn't empty very well. I would contest that because it actually works much better for me than any other pumps I have tried. I just make sure that I use something with a silicone flange, and for some it might actually be the opposite. You need plastic flanges because you don't have elastic nipples. So don't try these just because I recommend them. It works for me, silicone and inserts. Obviously, always use an insert and you'll be surprised how much difference it makes in your output with an insert. And of course, on top of that, I use lubrication because of the high elasticity of a nipple. But the point I'm making is that if you can find a combo that works for you, these are game changers because you can just put the pump motor on this and then you put it in your bra and you can go around do just about everything you need to do. You can perfectly integrate pumping into the rest of your life. So I highly recommend any mom that pumps, remotely pumps at all, try out a wearable option because it could work out, and if it does, it works really, really well. Since we mentioned lactation consultants, I just have to quickly put it out there that not all lactation consultants are equally trained in knowledge of pumping. It actually is such a different world than nursing because I have been on the side of exclusive nursing and exclusive pumping and anywhere in between. And what I have learned talking to professionals is that not all of them are the same. And I think it's important if you really want to exclusively pump or figure out how to pump that you talk to someone who is highly trained and knowledgeable about pumping. If you're really serious about finding a professional to help you find a solution for pumping, I think it's worth asking upfront, obviously kindly, hey, how trained and knowledgeable are you about pumping? And if you want more recommendation on how to find lactation consultants that are specialized in advising on pumping, stick to the end of the video because I will share some of that resources with you. Let's talk about the maintenance of the pump. To make sure that the pump continues to work efficiently, always check regularly if your ductile, valve membrane, or backfill protectors are still working efficiently. It ensures that the suction remains very strong and therefore empties you effectively. If you suddenly see a drop in supply while nothing else in your life is changing, no new stress factors, no loss of sleep, not eating more, eating less, drinking more, drinking less, water, hydration wise, your period has not returned, your baby hasn't started sleeping through the night or stuff like that, and you're suddenly seeing a drop in supply, the first thing to check is actually if your pump parts need to be changed. Every time I change the pump parts to new parts, I always put a date on my calendar for when I should be changing my pump parts next time, so I never lose track and I can be proactive about it. Oh, also don't forget to utilize insurance because your insurance company may cover some pump parts replacement, such as mine. Mine actually covered the replacement of pump parts, the entire set of pump parts, every month, I believe. Also check with your insurance company if they cover breast milk bags because I have gotten hundreds of free breast milk bags through insurance. I use Aeroflow breast pump. What they do is they send me a monthly reminder that, hey, your insurance covers breast pump parts replacement and free milk bags. Would you like them? And I always say yes, and they will send me free ones and they build the insurance for me. The brand I receive from them is Motif, and it works out great because from the review that I've read, it is actually one of the most reliable milk bags that do not leak after being frozen. I will link a review down below from Milk and Honey, which is a breast milk jewelry maker, and I trust their review because they receive so many frozen breast milk from moms that want to make their milk into jewelry, and I believe they really know whether some leak or not. Let's talk about how to save time while pumping, because whether you exclusively pump or pump occasionally, don't we all need more time? Double pump with pumping bra. I'm not going to assume that anything is too basic to be mentioned here because clearly I did not know it the first time round. I was holding on my flanges, in fact, one side at a time. I know it sounds really silly, but I wasted so much time and opportunity to make exclusive pumping work. But yes, do invest in some pumping bras that will allow you to go hands-free. Oh, and invest in a few pairs of them because obviously some will go through the wash while you need to use it. If you don't know what the fridge hack is, it basically means putting your pump parts in the fridge in between pumping sessions over the course of 24-hour period, so you only use one set per 24-hour. The breast milk in the pump is perfectly fine over the course of 24 hours if you keep them refrigerated while you're not using them. I usually use a new set in the morning and then I'll wash them at the end of the day before I go to sleep. What gives me the peace of mind with this method is just that the breast milk is so antimicrobial that you can leave them in the fridge for way longer than 24 hours and they'll be totally fine. If I had to wash pump parts throughout the day while I pump exclusively, I would have driven myself nuts long before. I would not have made it this far in exclusive pumping. The pitcher method is another huge game changer. What I do is essentially I give my baby the most fresh milk and any excess I pull into this pitcher, and then at the end of the day I bag them all at once. That means I end up with way less bottles to wash because I don't need so many storage containers for breast milk that needs to stay in the fridge in the meantime. And obviously you want to keep the milk in the pitcher no older than 4 days because by day 4 it needs to be transferred to freezer. That way you end up with way less bottles to wash. And as I mentioned before, invest in multiple sets of pump parts, at least 2, so that you always have a clean set ready to go when you need it. Let's talk about pump wipes because a lot of people don't know about them. They're amazing for on-the-go cleaning of pump parts. If you feel like your pump parts needs a little bit of light cleaning, these are such time savers. They don't need to be rinsed, so you can use them on the go when you're out and about. I usually use them quite frequently because I need to use olive oil for lubrication. So it builds up really fast and the pump parts get really greasy and I feel like they don't work effectively when they're greasy. So I need to use them when I'm out and about, and when I'm home, I just rely on light rinsing and a little bit of soap, but pump wipes are going to save you so much time. When I was working on building a supply and I really want to effectively empty, I use hand expression to check my right side first, and if there are still streams coming out, that means there's more milk in there and I want to keep expressing until only drops come out. Then I'll switch to my other side, so my left side, and while I'm expressing the left side, my right side is actually replenishing. So when I'm done with my left, I go back to my right and it will still have stream come out, but it will be like shorter and smaller streams, and I'll keep switching back and forth until only drops come out. And I really credit that to building my supply in month 2 to 3 postpartum. Since we talked about changing pump parts regularly, this is also a good way to check whether your pump parts are still working effectively. If you suddenly see a drop in supply and then after you pump, you hand express and there's still a lot of milk coming out, it means it's time to change your pump parts. What can you do about nipple pain, injuries, or infections? Let's talk about troubleshooting. A permanent guidepost for pumping or nursing is that there should never be pain. Now, soreness in early postpartum is different. That's normal, but pain is never normal and should not be ignored. It could be indicative that you are using the wrong flange size or that you have elastic nipples and therefore you need to use a different material for flanges. Or it could even be nipple infections like thrush, which should not be ignored and should seek medical treatments. So yeah, basically never ignore pain. The first thing I'm going to recommend for any of the conditions mentioned above and more is to air out. Just go topless. As soon as you give birth, go topless. The nurses have seen it all, so don't worry about them thinking you are weird because it's going to really help your nipples adjust to the hardships that are laying ahead of them. And if you have any nipple infections or injuries, airing out is always going to help them heal. What you don't want to facilitate is a dark and moist environment for your nipples because it could lead to further complications like nipple thrush, which is an yeast infection. It loves darkness, it loves moisture. And for that reason, I cannot personally recommend cabbage leaf or silver cups I know they work. I have experienced this with both of them, but potentially at what cost? As someone who suffered from nipple thrush, reoccurring nipple thrush over the course of month 3 and 4 postpartum, it's just not worth it. You want to keep that area dry and clean. If there's any nipple injury related to nursing or pumping, get yourself some hypochlorous acid spray and colloidal silver / hydrolyzed silver spray, both of which are incredibly good for healing fast as well as being safe for baby. And I just have to put it out there, this is not a piece of medical advice. You should always check with your healthcare provider, but these are supposed to be safe for babies. And if you feel weird about it, you can always spray on in between nursing or pumping and then rinse again before you start your next pump or nursing session. If you need more resources on pumping, Reddit will be your best friend. I have essentially found almost all my answers on Reddit. If you check out these channels, you put in your keywords for what you're trying to find answers for, most likely you'll find some comments that will be extremely helpful. I also highly recommend checking out content from One with a Pump, Carrying for Postpartum, Be My Breast Friend, and New Little Life. These are lactation consultants that are actually specialized in pumping and will be tremendously helpful if you are seriously considering getting professional help. And that is a wrap. Wow, that was a long video. And I am really proud of you for sticking with me all this far. I know it's a lot, but I really want to give you a good lay of the land so you know where to go from here on. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do so and hit that notification bell because I would love to see you in the next video. Now, happy pumping! Bye!